Hello, hello, Miss Silka. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me on the show. Big fan, and it is Sandlin. But I'm very
Sandlin.
excited
Okay,
here
now
to talk about
look.
Bart. Yeah,
Yes, 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 yes. What is your memory of Bart? I mean, I understand that you was it Paul Bear, and a fellow J sister as well. Did you serve time with him?
I did. I did about a year with him in the DC Gitmo, as I like to say, and then
Mm-hmm.
45 months in total. And Bart is one of the most exceptional men I've ever met. And people say that about people that pass, and I mean this to the bottom of my heart. Mr. Shively was America's son. He was the epitome of
Oh,
America's son. He was, if you
yeah.
look at early photos of him, he was a stud. He was a jock. He was the all American football star, almost made it to the NFL. Just a stud. Joins the
Oh,
military, loves his country, just the most loving, kindest man I've ever had the privilege of meeting in my life. I mean, just totally changed my life meeting this man. And he is an American tragedy. And that's the sad
yeah.
part about the whole story is not only did he serve his country, but was poisoned by the very country he served
Mm,
and then arrested for a minor role in January 6th, which, by the way, he did not instigate, a very minor role, not given his treatments, and
right.
then not paid, not given any type of comfort in his last days. He lived in a camper, in an RV
Mm,
camper. He died in an RV
mm,
camper. Much as I love my friend and, he has the pride, he died in a camper,
mhm.
and that is an American tragedy. And I told Bart I was never let his name go to I would never let his suffering go in vain and be wasted, because his story needs to be told, because it's the story of not just him but of many other Marines and military that served our country and have been discarded by our government and taken advantage of. And if you talk to these Camp Lejeune people, what they're doing is waiting for them to die
To
so they
die,
don't have to
yeah,
pay. And that's what they
yeah,
did with Bart. They could have paid him, and that payment would have given him dignity, would have given
yeah.
him, comfort in his last days. And he wasn't even given that. And
That
that's
is
that's what makes his
disgusting.
story such a tragedy.
That is so sad. That is so sad. So now you didn't know Bart before you met him in prison, right?
No, no, I didn't know Bart. And the first day I met Bart, we were very just instant friends. And he was a big, he loved Jesus so much, and we would do our Bible studies together. And I just wanted to quickly share one of his favorite verses, favorite stories in the Bible. And we talked about this. Oh my gosh, we talked about this Bible verse every day. Was the
Mhm.
story of Isaiah? I should have had it opened up, but it's the story of Isaiah the prophet, and he is walking down the road, and a bunch of kids, uh, 20 kids, go up to him and call him a bald loser, and he sends God to sick a she bear on him, and the she bear eats all the children. And
Jesus
we just thought
mercy.
he just we were so perplexed by this Bible verse, and that's just the kind of guy
Mhm.
Bart was. He found the humor in everything, and we could have a great time reading Bible study, and then flip to something very serious talks about God. And I remember one time he asked me, Ronnie, how do I know if God's speaking to me? And I told him, Bart, I can't answer that question for you, but what I can say is that I know God's speaking to me through you.
Oh
And
wow.
you know, that was so. As much as I like to think, I was the one taking care of Bart, man, it was Bart taking care of me. in so many ways,
Yeah.
and just changing my life. And just he was just that man. If that's it's just
Wow.
and I would love to have him here next to me, my brother here next to me, celebrating the holidays, but he's not here. And instead, we have to make sure that people like Bart do not get, just
We don't
eaten by
forget
the
him.
system, by our government. We don't forget them.
That's right.
Correct.
What about his
Yeah.
family? Did he have any family, any children?
He had no children, and he was semi-estranged. I don't want to get into his personal family life, but semi-estranged with
I
his family.
understand.
And
Okay.
so his family really was his January 6th brothers and sisters, and that was, those are the people I think that really came to him and was there during his, his suffering. And I think and the American people just as a whole. I mean, he was, and God's church, that was his family. The church of, the body of Christ, that was his
Yes.
family. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Well,
it's
I'm grateful. Go ahead. Go ahead. What were you about to say? I got
oh,
another second. Go ahead.
oh, well, I was going to say, and the sad part is that, you know, we didn't have any money. And so when we did end up having to bury him, Peter and Jake spent significant amounts of money out of their own pocket to bury him, give him. And by the way, he had a beautiful ceremony,
Yeah.
bagpipes. He had the full military. He was the first January 6'er to be buried with full military honors,
Oh,
which is a big
wow.
deal. Ashley Babbitt was denied that. Now she was eventually given that respect, but he was the first
Right.
one. And so we as a community had to come together to cover these expenses. And that's also doubly sad because we were also in our own, recovery. And most of us had just been released not 8 months, 7 months earlier.
Wow.